Animal crackers that turn you into an animal. That's a very interesting concept. Wonder if I could get a panda cracker. Oh! Hey, party people. Panda Brady here. If you had magical cookies that could turn you into an animal so you could save a famous circus, would you do it? Well, that's kind of the premise of today's film, Animal Crackers. Initially released in 2017, at least in Portugal at the Annecy International Film Festival, it was officially released on July 24th, 2020 to Netflix for the US audience. Written and directed by Scott Christian Sava, who worked on Ed's Terrestrials, Pet Robot, and The Dreamland Chronicles, and co-directed by Tony Bancroft, who has worked on many films and projects, but if you're a Saberspark fan like I am, you'll recognize his voice direction work in Red Shoes and The Seven Dwarves. This film is a very entertaining film for children and family alike. There were a few things that bothered me, however, but I will get to that. The film was created by Blue Dream Studios, which, if you visited their homepage, you may get the impression that they are a webcomic site. That's not the case. Anyways, I'm not very good at the production side and can just point you to the wiki where someone did extensive research on the film and to the Animal Crackers movie Facebook page for most of the other stuff. Surprisingly enough, what sparked my interest in this movie was that it looked like a movie that Saberspark would review, and when I mentioned this via Twitter, Mr. Sava himself replied to my tweet. From there I said that I might review it, and he was all for it. So with that out of the way, let's get to the summary. We start off with a big musical number, though the words don't quite match the music, and it's off-putting to me. The ringleader of the circus is Horatio P. Huntington, a spotlight hog in the business for fame and fortune, voiced by Sir Ian McKellen. The other brother, Buffalo Bob Huntington, I kid you not, that is his name,
puts the lotion on. You have no idea what kind of hell I can bring you!
Is the helpful backstage hand to the circus and is in it for entertaining people. He is voiced by James Arnold Taylor, the animated Obi-Wan voice, and though he sounds like he's about to break into a Shaggy voice in this movie. Esmeralda, a gypsy stereotype played by Harvey Fierstein, not Weinstein, totally different person, introduces them to her daughter, Talia. The two seem to want Talia, but Talia chooses to go with Bob. This upsets Horatio, and he says either he goes or she goes. And Bob chose to forego his bro. I don't blame him, though. From what we saw of his brother, he was a bit of a pain. The two marry, and Esmeralda gives Bob the titular animal crackers. The crackers' magic made the circus extremely popular for the next 30 years, and we learn about the main character of the movie, Bob's nephew, Owen, played here by John Krasinski of Office and A Quiet Place fame. Wait, stop. That would mean that Horatio is Owen's dad. But Owen looks exactly like Bob, unless there's like a third brother or maybe a sister we don't know about. Oh well, that's confusing enough. We also meet Owen's eventual wife, Zoe, played by Emily Blunt, whose dad sounds like a dinosaur.
Nothing but the best for my little Zoe.
Weird. Huh, like a T-Rex. They grow up in love with the circus, and Owen pops the question. Zoe says yes, but her father doesn't want her married to a clown, so he offers Owen a job at his dog biscuit factory.
It was the worst decision he ever made.
7 long years later, and this guy's job is a taste tester for dog biscuits. A taste tester for dog biscuits. How is that even a job that's allowed by, like, what would it be in this case? FDA? That's not right. OSHA? Not OSHA. Gee, it's one of the things that I'm like, how does he get away with this without, like, human resources jumping on him? But anyways, It looks like Zoe's become a high rank in the company, having to do board meetings and soon taking over the company for her father. Meanwhile, Owen is trying to get out of his job with the help of another worker named Binkley, voiced by Raven Simone. What? That doesn't sound like Raven. That's impressive. Clap, clap. With the help of Binkley, he's making a machine to do the job for him. Well, not exactly. They're trying to make dog biscuits taste like people food. Unfortunately, it backfires. Owen has a weird reaction to the food and says that it tastes like vinegar and sour milk. But a burp makes him feel better.
Does not smell better.
Yeah, it's awful.
And yeah, I know, burp, fart, toilet humor, it's lowbrow, but you gotta admit, it's funny when it happens. Not always, but that one kinda surprised me. Anyways, enter Brock, voiced by Patrick Warburton, who has a super cocky attitude and looks like a living thumb. Binkley fixes the dials on the machine, only to have Brock mess them up once more once Zoe's dad, Mr. Woodley, comes in. Zoe asks her dad to give Binkley a chance, and after a kind of rambling I'm very acquainted with, Binkley throws the switch and it explodes in dog biscuit goo. I have to admit, the randomness of the humor after it got me. And I suggest watching the scene yourself. I don't want to give anything away. We cut to a trailer outside of the circus where an older Horatio is ransacking the RV and lamenting his losses. A blue-haired dog and a cat chase him off, but not before the camper is set ablaze. Weird, blue-haired cat. And he belongs to Bob, a blue-haired man. I'm sure that means nothing. Owen, Zoe, and their daughter Mackenzie return home, and Owen receives a call notifying him that Talia and Bob have passed away due to the fire. The family head to the circus where they see Chesterfield the Clown, voiced by Danny DeVito, already holding a funeral for the two deceased circus owners. He talks about how great the two were, with a kind of good joke involving a not-so-bearded lady, and Bullet Man, played surprisingly by Sylvester Stallone. Horatio crashes the funeral, of course, saying that the circus belongs to him now, and shows off his
3.5 very dangerous men.
There's a fight scene, and someone really, and I mean really, liked animating this scene, you can tell. Owen, Zoe, and Mackenzie escape during the brawl, but before they leave, the blue-haired dog hands Owen a box. Zucchini, a magician that talks in the third person, played by Gilbert Gottfried, notices this and is ordered by Horatio to go after them. Meanwhile, Binkley fixes the machine and the biscuit turns out fine, but Brock comes in and sabotages it once more. It's weird because the first time looks like it could have been an accident. But this time, he knows what he's doing, but they don't explain why. Is it just for the satisfaction of ruining someone else's day? I don't get it. I do not get it. If he had like some kind of rivalry, maybe that would make more sense. But no, he seems more like Chad Bradley from Purgatoni, which is a Cyanide and Happiness short series. Those are two completely different audiences, but he seems more like a Chad Bradley, but a little more smug. Anyways, back in the car, Zoe is curious about the box, and Owen reveals them to be animal crackers, and it looks like Mackenzie is very eager to eat them. Owen reminisces about a picture that was wrapped along with the crackers, and Mackenzie is still hungry, but a fruit stand on the way home stops them, allowing Zucchini enough time to catch up to them. Owen takes a call from Binkley, and while talking, decides to try one of these crackers, a hamster cracker to be precise, and Zucchini is knocked out by Mackenzie's playing of the car keys. Zoe returns to find her husband now a rodent, and after fierce smackings and whackings, the two realize what caused the sudden transformation. Zoe discovers a note on the back of Owen's picture, and the family take off to the circus to speak with Chesterfield, nearly committing vehicular manslaughter in the process. Zoe, you are so lucky that wasn't somebody's kid behind you. Zoe pulls some crazy driving on the level of Lisa, the mom from Ponyo, when she gets stuck behind a pizza truck. The writing between Owen and Zoe here really reminds me of The Office, and it could just be because it's Krasinski in it, but it feels like The Office because they're talking over each other, and it feels so very natural, and they're debating back and forth, kind of like Jim and Pam did. Maybe it's in Krasinski's contract, or maybe the writers just happened to nail the dialogue. Who knows? Zucchini calls Horatio and tells him about the animal crackers while chasing the family. Don't be talking while driving, Zucchini. You may run into something. The family eventually notices Zucchini and recognizes him as one of the minions of Horatio. Owen quickly scares off Zucchini in an act that would make many...
Zucchini's gonna die!
Aw, Mackenzie's got a new teddy bear. They return to the circus and find out that to transform back, Owen must eat a human animal cracker that appears in the box after he eats a regular one, because these crackers are magical! We then jump to Horatio's much smaller circus at a local park. Zucchini returns and we get another musical number from Horatio with a side of zucchini. It, again, doesn't always rhyme or even slide rhyme, which really bugs me, but it might not be a negative for everyone. After the song and dance, Zucchini's off to obtain the crackers while Samson moves the circus. You know, for a guy that looks like he skips leg day, he has a lot of leg power. Back at the real circus, Chesterfield tells Owen that he and Zoe are now the owners of the circus. Owen isn't up for it right away, but Zoe accepts. We then get a little montage of Owen still at the factory tasting dog biscuits, while Zoe helps the circus performers repair the circus. Afterwards, we get a disturbing scene with Brock in a chair, and Mr. Woodley tells Brock that with Zoe gone, he might as well become the new head of the company. Owen is told by Brock to get accounting done, which apparently Zoe used to do before she left. Mr. Woodley is there when Owen tries a dog biscuit, and it seems that it's fixed until Owen's face changes colors and he starts hiccuping. At least the taste is good. He returns home that night, and we get a sweet little scene where Owen turns into a bear for his daughter. The next day, the circus is reopened. However, it looks like the meager crowd is not into it. The crowd wants animals, and so Owen gives them animals with an act that looks like it broke poor Zoe. After which, we get a montage made more awesome by the backing of Queen, as Owen transforms into various animals for the act, including one that scares the crowd until Mackenzie tames the savage beast. Aw, how cute. Backstage, Owen announces that he is going to quit his job tomorrow to get back to the circus. Mr. Woodley is upset, and Owen gives him free tickets to the circus. On his way out of the factory, however, Owen is stopped by Brock, who steals and eats one of the animal crackers. This causes Brock to freak out, and Owen gives chase as a lion. The chase leads to Brock getting stuck in Binkley's machine, but he gets out after the lab gets trashed. Zucchini arrives at the factory, intending on stealing the crackers, which Brock delivers to him accidentally. Zucchini flees from Lion Owen, leaving the cookies, but brings Mandrill Brock to Horatio. Binkley has something to tell Mr. Woodley, but we won't know about that for a bit. Owen returns home and tells Zoe that the human cracker is gone. So they try to make it work, and another montage ensues of Owen trying to do daily tasks as animals. I've seen enough anime to know where that scene is going. They even find one cookie that is the Brock cookie, but they choose not to use that one, because that would be weird. Owen's down in the dumps about his predicament, and Chesterfield tries to cheer him up. Horatio appears and reveals that he has the human cracker, and he will only give it to Owen if he gives up the animal crackers and the circus. Owen says no because the circus is his family. Horatio foresaw this and has his minions tear through the tent now as amalgamations of different animals. This is because Brock's monkey hands had broken some of the animal crackers, and you don't have to eat the whole cracker to get parts of the animal. We later find out that also works with the human crackers. Horatio steals the crackers and turns Owen back to normal, and then announces that he is now taking over the circus and firing all the old acts, only to be fired into by Bullet Man. A fight ensues with everyone turning into animals, while Binkley and Mr. Woodley arrive for the show. We get some repeat fights from the first Rumble, but this time with animals. The fighting is nearly at an end until Horatio eats several crackers, claiming he plans to rule the world with them as Horatio the Chimera. It's then revealed that the dog and cat have been Bob and Talia all along. I knew it. As soon as I saw those two animals, I knew it. But I think that's part of the character design. You can tell just from facial structure on even the cat. Yeah, that's Talia. Bob tries to talk Horatio down, but Horatio decides he'd rather be a chimera than an old man. He takes Bob and Talia and flies out of the circus tent, but is taken down by Bullet Man using 1,000 years of death. That's a Naruto reference. Talia nearly falls to her death, but Mackenzie, with some quick thinking, turns into a monkey and saves her. Owen and Horatio fight, and honestly, I didn't expect this level of a fight in this kid's movie. Biting, clawing, even a tiny bit of blood. Horatio knocks out Owen momentarily and chases after Mackenzie. Zoe turns into an elephant and slams Horatio into a trap with the safety net. After they turn him into a hamster, the crowd goes wild. Bullet Man says something other than his name for once, and at the after party, the circus performers begin getting turned back to normal. Everybody except Horatio and his minions. His minions have to wait. Mr. Woodley arrives and apologizes to them after seeing their heroics in the show. Binkley becomes business partners with Woodley after her experiments work with changing people's skin to look like animals. Until they burp. And then we end with Owen turning into a dragon for the final performance of the show. With the summary out of the way, let's move on to animation. Oh wait, no. Now that I think about it, we don't know what happens to Brock afterwards. And maybe it's an after-credit scene? We actually never find out what happens to poor Brock if he stays a mandrill or whatever. But anyways, with summary out of the way, let's move on to the animation. The animation is really well done. I have to point out there are some characters that are maybe too well done, like Brock and his weird movements when he's up in someone's face, or the large lady that Zucchini has a crush on and is crushed on. The water effects in the movie are really smooth, except for in the final battle with El Diablo. It doesn't look so great there, but I especially like the drool effect from Bear Owen. It even leaves a mark when Mackenzie wipes it on his fur, and it persists through the entire scene, and that's pretty good attention to detail. You don't get to see that in everything. I do have to say the odd proportions of everybody kind of made me feel like I'm watching like The Lorax or Despicable Me, especially when looking at the vehicles, because they have really weird proportions. There weren't many egregious animation errors that I could point out on a first viewing, so top notch there. The voice acting is incredible in this movie, but we have a huge stellar cast to work with. Sir Ian McKellen, John Krasinski, Patrick Warburton, Emily Blunt, Raven Simone, Gilbert Godfrey, Tara Strong, Wallace Shawn. so many well-known and talented people on this project. There were quite a few of them that I didn't even realize it was them at first until much later in the movie. I think there was like 1 or 2 lines where the delivery didn't seem quite right to me, though. But the movie pulled it off overall very well. The writing was fairly decent, nothing super out there. There were some genuine real-life feeling scenes between Zoe and Owen. And I do have to say there were a couple scenes that felt written for John Krasinski. Like I mentioned earlier, the office scenes that I say the office scenes, it felt like The Office. The story's kind of basic, though the whole dog biscuit taste testing subplot seemed kind of out of nowhere. Magic cookies, save the circus from evil uncle. It's kind of basic. I did enjoy that they didn't just redeem the villain in the end by having him be like, "You're right, I've been doing wrong this whole time. Please let me rejoin you once again, despite all that I've done." It's a nice change of pace from other shows and movies that I've seen recently. As for the editing, I think it was great. There were a few nicely edited tracking shots, some cartoonish whipping of the camera for Brock's ninja moments, and a lot of montage scenes that made me feel like I was watching the scenes from Madagascar 3. Could be because they both have animals and it's montage, but it does the same thing where it kind of blackens out the background. Anyways, there was really only one scene that bothered me with editing, only because it felt way too short for having cut away from the rest of the action. But they do fix that with the lighting and it being Binkley's character growth moment, where she finally stops being shy and reserved. And that was Netflix's Animal Crackers. I suggest checking it out simply for the star-studded cast, but if you aren't into that, maybe the comedy and story might get a good chuckle from you. And there were a few sweet moments too for the whole family, so that might be nice as well. The fight near the end was a bit darker than I thought it'd be for the intended age group, but it was a fine movie. I recommend to see it at least once if you haven't already. I'm Panda Brady, and this has been my review. I'm always looking to improve how I review and make content, so if you'd like, leave a critique below. If you'd like to see me tackle any specific movie or show, leave a suggestion in the comments below, and I may get to it. Join me next week when I look at... Actually, I don't know what yet. I hope it's something bad. I'll be checking around, but until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and share the video with your friends. Subscribe to help grow the Panda Party, because there ain't no party like a Panda Party, because a Panda Party don't stop. And I'll see you all in the next video. Later. Initially released in 2017, at least in Portugal, at the Annecy International Film Festival. Don't know why I sounded Russian for just a moment there. As for the editing... wow, editing. Yeah, as for the editing...